So let me see. I think the most memorable moments for me were definitely, I guess, in March when I started to realize that this was something that was really happening and that I was completely unprepared for.
It all just kind of seems like a blur.
I was in school on the last full day before things shut down for the Appleton School District. And so just that day, that Friday before, it was the 12th of March.
Hi, my name is Alex Rance, and I'm the creator of 2020 Unmasked. Thanks for watching. Like you, towards the end of 2020, I realized what a traumatic year it had been. I am also a storyteller, and I believe in the healing power of stories. So I set out to collect the stories of 2020, the good, the bad, the painful, and the enlightening. This is the result. These are real people, and these are their stories.
So I am the director of youth services for our tribal nation, and we actually had over 40 students that we employed through the summer, and we did it without any COVID positive cases. So that was a big thing. When that was over after a couple months, that was amazing to me, is that though we had other positives around in our surrounding areas, we kept everybody safe. And so, and also provided that opportunity for growth and experience through jobs for youth 14 to 17. So that was a big thing for me, is keeping everybody safe. Another thing was the loss of people that I love and that you couldn't have funerals. And so that was a hard thing. I lost an uncle who was, like a second father, a grandfather to my child. And then the third thing is that I will remember is that there was no powwows, there was no getting together with family and friends. And so that's the third thing that I remember.
Well, I was running for office, and pretty early in 2020, actually it was right around the time of the mayoral primary here, we really started to hear more about what was happening with this pandemic as it came on. And one of the things I'll never forget is having a conversation after the primary was over, having a conversation with my opponent in that race. We were supposed to have a forum where we would answer questions. It was a League of Women Voters forum, and I called him, and we talked about the risk of having people gather in an indoor space for a debate, and that we just didn't think that was the right thing to do at the time. So we agreed to cancel the forum. So that was a memorable moment. It was that was when it started to really, I think, set in for us that this pandemic was going to affect us significantly, and it was going to change the way that race went. The next significant memory, and there's lots, I mean, there's been so much learning, being in a new job, but it was shortly after I was elected. It was probably 3 weeks after I was elected. The state Supreme Court struck down safer at home mandate, and in the request to the state Supreme Court, the legislature asked for a stay of a ruling to give them time to sort out what to do, and the Supreme Court didn't grant that stay, so the order was repealed immediately. And so I was like 3 weeks on the job and calling fellow mayors and trying to sort out what we were going to do as a municipality in response. So that was just sort of a trial by fire in terms of getting into this role and having to think on my feet and communicate with my community and with our neighbors. Another significant memory was in the spring following the murder of George Floyd and the demonstrations that happened in this community. And I'll never forget watching as, over 1,000 people marched up College Avenue to Houdini Plaza to demonstrate. And it was a pretty searing moment in terms of the pain that our community was feeling and the outrage that our community was feeling. And, at that moment, really feeling the gravity of this role and the work that we do every day in local government. So those were three pretty significant memories. But like I said, there's lots of others. It's been a wild ride.
Three memorable moments of 2020. Probably during the summer when we decided that we have a house in Vermont, so we decided to go there. And each week a different set of friends would come up, but we'd all get tested and do all these precautions so that they could come. And it was just so much fun because throughout 2020 it was really hard to get interaction with people. I mean, not in the beginning, but when quarantine started. So it was so nice to be with my friends. Another memorable moment is when field hockey at my school was not being canceled because we all thought it wasn't going to happen because of Corona, but then they made it happen and we wore masks and we played field hockey, and I love field hockey so much. So I was so glad that we got to do that. Another memorable thing, it was probably my birthday when we actually went to the city in November. And we went to a restaurant, and that was my first time in a restaurant in so long. I mean, now the restaurants are closed, which sucks, but it was really my first time indoor somewhere without a mask. I mean, it was all very separated and stuff, but it was so much fun. And of course, school is memorable because we're all online.
One was really I'm really trying to focus on positive things, and we had something really fun happen. We've been trying really hard to come up with different ways to interact with family and friends. So my daughter and her roommate did this little card game. So they went around to friends and families' houses, and we did a little car competition. She had different games to play in the driveway, outside. And so that was sort of fun. That was just something to get us out of ourselves. One little boy, this was really kind of fun. So we were doing the letter T, and I said, go find something in your house that begins with T. So they all did, and they all came back, and then they had to show what they found. And this little boy said, I found a tissue. And I said, oh, that's so great. Would you throw me the tissue? So he threw the tissue, and I did this. And I said, that was great. Here, I'm going to throw it back. So the two of us were throwing the tissue, and the other kindergartners thought that somehow we were actually throwing it to each other back and forth. So they were just this look of amazement. And one of them said, she really can do magic. It's just one of those awesome moments that just happened without planning. But it was really cute. So in kindergarten, that's pretty special when you get those little moments. And then I attended my first Zoom funeral. So that was very memorable, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I didn't know what to expect. I was really thankful that I could attend, and it was really lovely. So there was lots of different people talked. There was musical moments, and then at the end we went into breakout rooms and visited with the family.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. I think the most memorable moments for me were definitely, I guess, in March when I started to realize that this was something that was really happening and that I was completely unprepared for, financially and otherwise. doubted the seriousness of it when it like first began, and then when I realized it was really going to affect us and affect every community, that really impacted me and like put a lot of fear in me. And that was very memorable, was just March, kind of seeing everything starting to, close down, and all of this was really crazy. um, and then unfortunately my relationship ended too a couple of months later. I had been with somebody for a fairly long time and we ended up splitting. So I ended up being alone then after that, in complete isolation, for the remainder of the pandemic. And then, of course, the last most memorable moment was losing my grandmother in December.
I was in school on the last full day before things shut down for the Appleton School District. And so just that day, that Friday before, it was the 12th of March, where everybody was trying to figure out what Monday was even going to look like. Are the schools going to shut down, or other districts in the state shutting down? And seeing that really happen in real time, and seeing things really change in real time, I think really made it sink in for a lot of people.
One that I'm still struggling with is I'm working in long-term care right now. And there was a couple of weeks when someone died every day. And I was coming home and getting messages from people who don't work in healthcare about how they're still going out to bars and they're still getting together with their family. And we, after that initial what's new with you, they shut down because nobody wants to hear that you're dealing with death every day. And I don't want to hear that you're partying while I'm trying to figure out how to deal not only with death every day, but with how that's affecting me and my coworkers. I'm going to work and not only having to cope, but I have to support coworkers who are crying, and it was horrible. Um, and then there's another moment around work. There's this amazing couple, and they've actually been in the media. They've been married 67 years. And before the pandemic, he visited her every day, starting early enough to help her with her breakfast, stayed all day until she was tucked in for the night. And then all of the care facilities went on lockdown. And he still came and sat outside the window and visited her every day at 1 o'clock. And that kind of faithfulness, that's amazing to witness, you know? And the third thing isn't a single moment, but it happens twice a month. And my family, who has struggled with estrangement in various forms, has in this last year come together, and we meet together on Zoom twice a month on Saturdays. And everybody and their partners really makes an effort to be there. And that is so sweet to me. And it's such a nice balance, because the people I deal with who haven't changed their reality say that they aren't, because relationships are important to them. I won't physically distance from family outside my household because family is important to me. And I have 2 kids in Appleton and 2 in Chicago, and they're actually closer to me emotionally, and they spend more time with me than we did before the pandemic. So it really isn't that black and white a choice. If you really are committed, you find a way to make things work.
It all just kind of seems like a blur. Man, I never thought that would be so hard to answer. My parents came up to visit. My family came up to visit in Appleton in August, and we got to play Cards Against Humanity with my partner, which was fun. Before the pandemic started, I got to visit my family in Arizona, which was fun. And third moment, starting school.
Cool. Um, I had a small business. I used to run a coffee bar inside a call center. And in April, they made all the agents, there was like 175 people in-house. And they made all the employees home agents. They're all working from home on their computers. So I had to close my business, my small business of 7 years there. I used to have a coffee / breakfast lunch bar, and I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was, making a living. And so my livelihood was cut short due to COVID. I ended up taking on a job in a group home. I take care of 2 adult males with different levels of schizophrenia and autism and learning challenges, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really changed my life there. And a third one, it cut my social life, my things that I would love to do, go to outdoor music events, Irish Fest in Milwaukee, Pride Fest, all those things were canceled due to COVID this year.
Gotcha.